Hello people of YouTube. As promised, last video we're going to be ranking Korn albums. And be sure to watch our video ranking Slipknot albums if you missed it. Also, Joe is still recovering from his mistake last video. Anyway, gentlemen, what do we think of Korn's self-titled album?
Words cannot describe what a masterpiece this album is. Metal was very different back in 1994. Back then, the closest thing you had to Korn was Pantera and Sepultura. Then Korn released this masterpiece, created new metal, and changed the world of music forever. This is my favorite record ever made. Put it in S tier right fucking now.
I remember when this album came out. Back then, there was nothing like it. After this record came out, every metal band wanted to be the next Korn, making this album constantly duplicated, but never surpassed. All those others were just cheap copies of what Korn was. It's rare, but I agree with Donnie, S tier.
The second you play this album and Jonathan Davis shouts, "Are you ready?" and then that legendary riff for Blind starts playing, you know this is going to be like nothing you've ever heard before.
Blind is such a legendary song. Come to think of it, every song is legendary on this album. Ball Tongue, Clown, Lies, Fake, and Helmet in the Bush are all masterpieces. Not to mention the song that, for monetization reasons, we can't say the name of. Goddamn that song. Really shows the rage Jonathan Davis had to feel for being bullied all his life. God, that song is painful, but a heavy masterpiece, and might actually be the best on the record. If you still don't know why I can't say the name of the song, then check the album. It's track 6. You'll understand why you can't say this song's name anymore.
Yeah, if we say that song's name, then YouTube will fucking block our channel. But yeah, that song is a masterpiece. But unfortunately, this album has the darkest song ever made, Daddy. Holy shit, I don't feel comfortable going into detail with that song. All I will say is it's a masterpiece that shouldn't have to exist. Jonathan Davis is so brave for putting that pain into a song and showing his pain to let other R-word victims know that they're not alone. God bless you, Jonathan. Anyway, Obama, I think we've established this album is a complete masterpiece. Put it into S tier right now.
Of course, if we put it any lower, then that's enough reason for every other country to declare war on us. Now moving on to Life is Peachy. To me, this is a very mixed bag. It feels like it tiptoes the line between a Korn album and a comedy album half the time. With the exception of Good God, Adidas, and Kill You, this album feels like it was only made so Korn could tour new music. So fucking rushed. B-tier album, doesn't deserve any higher.
Obama, you're being way too harsh. This album has Twist on it, the song that created a TikTok meme, making Korn more popular with the new generation. That's got to count for something, right?
Joe, that meme isn't even fucking funny. It made a bunch of dumbass TikTok kids think they're Korn fans when they don't even know Blind or Got the Life or Freak on a Leash or any iconic Korn song. I agree with Obama. This album is rushed as shit. You could really tell the whole band was fucked up on drugs and basically made a crackhead comedy album mixed in with a few actual Korn songs. B tier and no fucking higher.
He only likes Twist because it's better English than any of his speeches. Anyway, speaking of Got the Life and Freak on a Leash, the next album is Follow the Leader, the album that brought both Korn and nu metal into the mainstream.
And rightfully so. This album is great. I just don't think it's S tier, as it does have the worst Korn song, All in the Family, which is just Jonathan Davis getting drunk with Fred Durst and having a fucking rap battle. Apart from that, the songs on here are great. Got the Life is experimental and groovy while still being heavy. Freak on a Leash is how you do a fucking breakdown, and Dead Bodies Everywhere is easily the best song on the record.
And of course, Justin, the song about a boy from the Make-A-Wish Foundation whose dying wish was to meet Korn. That's touching shit. Anyway, I think this album is A tier. It would be S tier if it didn't have that dog shit rap battle on it.
All in the Family shouldn't even be considered a Korn song. It's a fucking reason for an alcohol intervention. If you think that a fucking Limp Bizkit rap battle belongs on a Korn album, then you fucking need help. Anyway, now moving on to issues. Holy shit, this album only came out a year later, and yet it's still a fucking masterpiece. Falling Away From Me alone puts this album into A tier, but throw in Somebody Someone Trash, Make Me Bad, and Dirty, and you've got a fucking S tier album.
Oh, hell yeah. Only a year after Follow the Leader. And yet Issues doesn't feel rushed at all. It's still very much a Korn album, and a great Korn album at that. The story of Trash and Dirty, with Jonathan Davis sleeping with groupies and feeling bad about it, and being confused why his wife stayed with him, is incredibly touching. You can feel Jonathan's guilt during those songs. To me, what makes a good Korn song is ones where you can feel and relate to Jonathan's pain. Self-Titled did that perfectly, and Issues did it too. It is an S-tier album. Now moving on to Untouchables.
Wait, isn't that what the girls in high school used to call Joe?
Who the fuck told you that? Anyway, this album is S tier. By 2002, nu metal had become oversaturated, like the music equivalent of superhero movies. You knew what each band was before you listened to them, and Korn thought nu metal was now a parody of itself. So they decided to make this album as heavy as possible. Here to Stay and Thoughtless are both some of the heaviest Korn songs out there, both musically and emotionally. Not to mention the first Korn song to ever be written on an acoustic guitar, Alone I Break. That song was so good that Jonathan even named a fucking solo tour after it. S tier Untouchables, right fucking now Obama, or I will nuke your house.
Jesus Christ, Joe, it's in his tier. Now step away from the red button. The leftovers from Michelle's Healthy School Lunches program are still here. I don't know what radiation will do to that shit. It could fucking come alive for all I know. Let's just move on to the next album before Joe creates a fucking lettuce Godzilla from my wife's shit cooking.
Who the fuck thought it would be a good idea to give Joe access to nukes? Anyway, next is Take a Look in the Mirror. I'm going to be honest, I think this album is kind of bland compared to the last few. Untouchables started something new with Korn, but Take a Look in the Mirror feels like a step back from Untouchables. Y'all want a single and right now are still heavier than King Kong's balls though. But the rest are really just typical nu metal songs. You could really feel that Head was about to leave Korn, as this is the last album with the original Korn lineup. I would say B tier. The heavier songs do save it from C tier.
Holy shit, I forgot about that. Yeah, this was the last album before Head left Korn to find God, which I fully respect him for. But thank God he came back in 2012. Anyway, I completely see what Donnie is saying. With the exception of Right Now and Y'all Want a Single, this album feels like a step back from Untouchables. But the heavier songs do save it from C tier, making it a B tier. Next is See You on the Other Side.
Damn, I know we're just ranking the songs, but that album art is fucking badass. Anyway, this album is a very mixed bag for me, and it's better than Take a Look in the Mirror, but you can really feel that Head isn't in the band anymore on this one. But on the bright side of that, that means we get songs with more focus on groove with the bass and drums instead of just going heavy with the double guitars every time. Korn had to adapt with this one, and I think they did pretty well.
Jesus, what is happening? Is Trump actually telling the truth? Yeah, this album is great for what it is. Korn found a creative way to work around no longer having two guitar players in the band by focusing more on groove than heaviness, without taking away what makes the songs Korn songs. Coming Undone is in YouTube Music's top 5 most popular Korn songs. Not to mention the hilarious music video for Twisted Transistor, showing rappers pretending to be Korn, with Korn themselves playing the higher-ups at the record label, rejecting the song. So fucking funny. Also, Liar is easily the best song on the album, being groovy and heavy at the same time, and bringing back the scatting, and that scat really felt special. Liar feels like a hybrid of Got the Life and Freak on a Leash. I cast my vote for A tier. I don't care if I get hate for it.
Most people would probably say B tier or even C tier, but we are not most people. We have all fucking pissed in the White House toilet. A tier it is. Next is Untitled. Did you guys know that the first time Korn played Evolution live was with Joey Jordison? Korn was performing at the Rock 'em Ring Festival in 2007, and David couldn't make it. So Joey filled in, and they played the most popular single from this album for the first time that day. Good times, man. Rest in peace, Joey. Anyway, thanks to that performance, I have such fond memories of this album and that song. Evolution is so fucking underrated.
I too have fond memories of this album. Back in 2016 during the election, whenever me and Hillary had a debate, I would walk in and pay off the sound guy to play Bitch We've Got a Problem. That was how I knew I would get every Korn fan's vote. Good fucking times, man.
So that's how Kim got that idea from last video. If you want to hear the story, then watch our ranking of Slipknot albums. Now enough fourth wall breaking. You two are fucking blinded by nostalgia for this record. Sure, Rock 'em Ring 2007 was easily Korn's best live show. But aside from Evolution and Bitch We've Got a Problem, can you two actually name a single fucking song from this album?
Well, now that you say it,
I didn't think so. This album is so fucking forgettable. There's only 2 memorable songs. That makes it C tier.
Oh, fuck, he's right. There's only 2 good songs on here. It's a C tier. No amount of nostalgia can save it from that. Anyway, next is Korn 3. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
Fuck you, Donald. I know what you're doing. You just want to know if I like it so that you can shit on it. What do you think of Korn 3?
Okay, fine. I'll tell you. The truth is I've never listened to it. I just remember hearing bad things about it and deciding not to bother with it. It was supposed to be a secret. I've been ashamed to say I've never heard this album, but say I'm a Korn fan.
Oh shit, Donnie, I'm sorry. If it makes you feel any better, I haven't actually heard it either. I guess Obama's the deciding vote.
Fuck, I haven't heard it either. So what the fuck do we do with it?
How about we just take it off screen and revisit it later when we've all heard it?
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, next is Path of Totality, Korn's first record in the dubstep craze, and thankfully their last. I know how divisive this album can be, with some people loving it and calling it underrated, and others fucking hating it. Where do you two stand on it?
Korn was never meant for dubstep. Sure, there are two good songs on here, those being Get Up and Narcissistic Cannibal. But if those songs had been released as singles only and not a whole fucking dubstep album, it would have been fine. If you had asked me when it first came out, I would have said F tier, because I was scared this is where all Korn albums were going from now on. But thankfully, it was just one album, so I've warmed up to it, but not by much D tier.
Donald pretty much summed it up nicely. Over time, this album has grown on me, but I still don't think Korn and dubstep go together that well. Anyway, next is the paradigm shift. I'm going to be honest, compared to Path of Totality, this album feels like a breath of fresh air, still having some element of dubstep in there, but heavily pulled back, only for breakdowns or intros, and I think that works better. And Head is back. Finally double guitars, which means we can get some heavier Korn songs again. I cast my vote for B tier. Hater, Love and Meth, and Never Never are all great songs, but it still isn't quite there yet on the heavy side that makes Korn what it is. For Korn, you need groove and heaviness, and the closest song for me that does that is Love and Meth. But it still isn't quite back to what I associate with Korn.
Sleepy Joe actually spitting straight facts. This album is 1,000 times better than Path of Totality just for not being a dubstep album. Having Head back in the band, giving us those badass double guitars back is a fucking dream come true. But like Sleepy Joe said, this album still isn't quite heavy enough yet. I agree that Love and Meth is the best song on the album, but this album is still a B tier. Next is The Serenity of Suffering. Holy shit, this is the Korn album I was waiting for. The second you play it and it starts with Insane, you know that Korn are back to what makes them one of the greatest metal bands of all time. This album proves that Korn are still just as badass as they were back in 1994.
When I first heard Insane, I thought this would at least be an A-tier album. But then the other songs started playing and I knew this was an S-tier album. Korn were fucking back. Every song is a straight banger. As we've established, Insane is the song to prove that Korn are heavy again. Black as the Soul has some of the best guitars in all of nu metal. A Different World has fucking Corey Taylor as a guest vocalist, meaning we have two of metal's greatest frontmen screaming in this badass song, making it feel like a Korn song slowly becoming a Slipknot song. And when you get to Corey's part, it quickly becomes pure Slipknot. And of course, there's Rotting in Vain. There's a reason Korn are starting all of their recent concerts with this song. That's because it's a fucking banger. This album deserves nothing less than S tier. And neither does this next album, The Nothing.
Holy shit, this album is so fucking good. Every song feels like a song from Self-Titled done today. Jonathan was really going through it when this album was made, and you can really tell that this album feels like a Self-Titled Part 2, the raw emotion that has been missing since Untouchables is finally back on this record. The best for me or You'll Never Find Me, Harder, and Idiosyncrasy. This album is everything Korn should be. Put it in S tier right fucking now, Obama, or I will email Putin right now and order a fucking nuke.
Jesus Christ. Donald, what the fuck is wrong with you? Remember what I told Joe? Radiation mixed with Michelle's cooking could fucking end America. This album was always going into S tier. Now don't fucking email Putin. Okay, next is Requiem. Personally, I think this is A tier. It's great, but compared to Serenity and The Nothing, it's really no competition.
Yeah, to me this feels like a sequel to The Nothing, and like most sequels, it isn't as good as the first part, but to me this feels like the only place you could go after The Nothing. The Nothing was such a dark, depressing album, encapsulating that pain and feeling hopeless, and then Requiem is the healing process to recover from the emotional gut punch that is The Nothing. All the songs on this album are still just as badass as any Korn song, but given the healing process theme of this album, it feels very pulled back, with a little less heavy songs than the last two albums. But that in no way makes this a bad record. After everything Jonathan and the rest of the band had to go through, they deserve an album to heal. To me, the best songs are Start the Healing and The Worst is on its way. The scatting coming back for The Worst is on its way is fucking ear candy to every Korn fan.
Sounds about right for this one. Looks like we all agree on A tier, and with that, we're done with Korn, truly in the top 5 greatest metal bands of all time. So now that Korn and Slipknot are done, what the fuck do we rank next?
I guess we should probably get back to ranking the Danimation horror fanverse. But after that's done, maybe some other metal bands. I was thinking either Linkin Park or Marilyn Manson next. Comment what you want to see us rank next. It can be anything. Anyway, be sure to subscribe to Danimation so you don't miss future animations, reviews, and AI Presidents videos. Presidents out.